be a little short, okay?
We'll take
because,
it.
Huh?
We'll take it.
About
Sounds
a half
better
an
than
hour.
nothing.
Because my gopher died, and we have a funeral, and I just lied. That's not why. Donald Trump is burning comic books on the White House lawn, and I have to go down. No, that's not. Because this thing's.
Neal wanted to leave.
Huh?
Neal wanted to leave.
Because this place is closing at 6 o'clock. We gotta get downstairs. Anyway, so we'll do about a half hour, and we'll do a Q&A, and I'll pretend that we'll pretend he's introducing me. Okay?
Sure.
Go for it.
Mr. Neal Adams.
There you go. Okay, so it's kind of a Q&A. I will lie to you about as many things as I can, my gopher included. I don't have a gopher. Imagine Neal Adams with a gopher and feeding a gopher. I'm sorry. I'd poison it. No, I wouldn't poison the gopher. I'm a nice guy. I got 5 kids. They poison gophers. Okay, does anybody have a question?
I do.
Yes.
Who is your favorite to draw, Batman or Superman?
Okay, let's be honest. There are a bunch of naked guys with lines on their bodies. Really? Aren't they? A bunch of naked guys with lines on their bodies.
What type of color?
Wait a second, somebody gonna deny that? Naked guys with muscles, a droid-S or a bat, hood, little curl.
Well, they're wearing underwear, so that has to go for something.
Automatically, those are the lines. I mean, even when they put them in films, they put clothes on them. They put jackets on them and stuff, you know. They put armor on Superman because, you know, he's not the Man of Steel. Oh, he is, isn't he? Why do they put armor on him? I don't get it. And then they bring his sleeves down, they bring his collar up, and you go, Clark, what's that under your collar there? Is that like a blue outfit? What is that? Okay. Am I talking too fast?
No.
That stupid costume on Superman. Comes down to his hand like this.
Yeah.
Don't roll your sleeves up, Clark, because I can see your Superman costume. It's stupid.
He's back to the red frogs.
It was bad enough when he wore glasses and everybody didn't recognize him.
Yeah.
But he's got the thing up to here. It's like ridiculous. And then they take his shorts off. Let me just, there's kids here, right? Semi-kid? You're a semi-kid. Okay, I get it. But you'll understand this, and it won't be offensive. They take the shorts off, right? And I'm like, well, wait a second. This is sort of based on trapeze artists from back in the day when Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster made Superman. So all those guys sort of had shorts, you know. So they decide to take his shorts off. And I'm like, okay, you're going to put the thing and then do the other thing. You can take his shorts off, but he's got no red thing there, you know. He's got all this licensing out with the red. I go to a convention in San Diego, and some guys are coming up to my booth wearing the new costume, spandex, right? And I'm looking at it, and I go, and I can see their junk. I'm just saying, I don't want to see their junk. It's embarrassing. Put some shorts on, you know. Just why am I looking at your? And another guy comes, same thing. Go to the bathroom and put something on. You guys are embarrassing the hell out of me. I'm just saying. You know, if you change a costume, you sort of have to think ahead of time that is this going to work? Like I changed Robin's costume and I put leggings on him because it's cold outside. That makes sense, right? But no shorts. I don't get it. Sorry, I know it's a long answer to your question,
That's
but I'm
okay.
feeling a little silly today. Yes.
Did you enjoy drawing the Ninja Turtles?
The what?
The Ninja Turtles.
Did I enjoy? I didn't draw them. I painted them.
Oh, my bad.
I painted them on a cover, and then I did a drawing of them. No, of course not. They're a bunch of turtles. They have no anatomy. It's just a big shell. Silly. And their head looks like a blob with a mouth. And they wear masks that look like a skate man's mask. Whoever remembers Skate Man? Skate Man? No, Skate Man. Anyway. Oh, they're silly to draw. cartoonist, yes. There's a cartoonist side of me. Okay, you guys don't necessarily know about this. I'm going to tell you about it. There's such a thing as a Bigfoot artist and a Littlefoot artist. Bigfoot artist draws cartoons because cartoons have big feet and big hands, right? Unlike Donald Trump. He came up again, didn't he? I'm sorry, I apologize. It's preying on my mind and everybody else's. So Bigfoot means cartoony. Littlefoot means like superhero with the, big muscles and little tiny feet. That's why they call them Littlefoot. But it's too late for that. So they call them Littlefoot. Well, I started out as a Bigfoot guy. I do Atomic Mouse and I do cartoons and stuff. And then I turned into a Littlefoot guy. Draw little tiny feet on big muscle guys. I'm really a regular guy. I draw realistic stuff, but that's the difference between Bigfoot and Littlefoot. Okay. How did this start? With a question.
Yeah, I was asking if you enjoyed drawing the Ninja Turtles.
Yes. Okay. So they're like Bigfoot. They're cartoons in a Littlefoot world. Because you got Batman and turtles together, right? Littlefoot guy and Bigfoot cartoons. And you can see the guys that go around in their costumes when they ever see Ninja Turtles, and they get the big floppy heads, they go like that, the big hands with 3 fingers, 2 and 1, like that. What are they? And that's the turtle. It's 3, right? It's 2 fingers and a thumb.
Yeah.
That's Bigfoot. So yeah, I as a Bigfoot artist, I enjoy that. That's fun. As a Littlefoot artist, they don't belong together. But I did them together, and just so you know, I did a painting for one of those covers, okay, and I stole from another artist. Those of you who think that I have scruples, I don't have any scruples. I want you to know, I stole from Frank Frazetta. He did a creepy comic book, creepy cover, and he had 4 cavemen coming out of the mist, looking very dangerous. It was just a wonderful cover. So I was asked to do, turtles, a turtles cover, and I thought, what do I do? See, I know you're not interested in this, guys. You guys over here, I get it, okay. But I'm going to tell you how I swipe. I thought about that, and I thought, I don't want to draw a city with the turtles, because that's what everybody does. It's windows and all kinds of stuff. I thought, have them come out of the mist, like Frank Frazetta did with the cavemen and Batman kind of floating in the mist. And that was the basis of that painting. So I stole an idea from Frank Frazetta, which I do all the time. If anybody has any other questions? Yes, sir.
How did you learn to draw? Or did you...
How did I learn to draw?
Or did you just know?
No.
I
God came down and said, you shall learn. Mr. Adams. And I turned into a smoldering pile of ashes. He hit me with lightning. No, it's just, you learn, because in every school, right? Every school that you've ever been to, there's the school artist. Right? There's a school artist. And when you graduate, you're going to become the greatest artist on earth. And everybody writes notes to the school artist. And some schools have 2 or 3 school artists. You think I'm not finished with this question? I'll be with you. Oh, I can see you. But they're everywhere. It really has to do with how much dedication you have, how much you want to learn, how far you can go, because there's no end to young artists. Every high school, every junior high school, every elementary school has the school artist. And they're all brilliant, and they'll tell you, their parents come up and tell me all the time, my son can draw anything. You just put it in front of him, if I tell him to draw something, he can draw anything. He draws as good as everybody here. He's 5 years old. And they're everywhere. It takes a heap of learning to be able to draw really well. And you can stop learning by somebody giving you money, and then you stop learning. Or you can be dedicated to what you do, the way a good doctor, you know, for example, that not all doctors are the same. There's good doctors and there's really bad doctors. And and same with lawyers, same with any profession. There's good and there's bad. The people who, and guitar players, same thing with guitar singers. There's families of singers. Everybody sings. Not everybody sings great. There's usually, that's out of that family comes that one great singer. Same thing with a guitar player. So you have, if you have enough people around you that are artistically sensitive, or friends, or you have some kind of a head start, like your mother loves it when you draw. My mother loved it when I drew. I was 6 years old, I'm sitting at the kitchen table, my mother's smoking her cigarettes and drinking her coffee, and I'm drawing old maid cards, copying old maid cards. And I would finish, and she would look at it and say, tell me how wonderful it was, and then tell me to do another one. And then we'd talk. And that was the best thing in the world for me. Was that how I began? Yeah, it's what I remember. But my mother loved it when I did that. And that also has to do with, I mean, if any of you guys have kids and they have penchants for anything, encourage that. Tell them you love it when they do it. I mean, just make them feel good about whatever they do, and you never know. It could be an artist or a writer. We need a world filled with people who do things that they like to do, rather than things they have to do. Because we're building this world. And we don't want people who have to do, 8 hours a day, crap that they don't want to do. Right? You agree?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yes, back there.
Well, actually, comics fits well into what you said, because it's an evolving genre. It constantly changes to reflect the issues of the day. At the same time, it needs to go back and draw upon what made the comics popular, both in the dark age of comics and the silver age of comics. In other words, using the tone of the past and the ideas of a present to attract a wide variety of audiences.
Well, I don't know that you get to pick what we have to do, but in general, I have to agree with you. We do look to the past, and we have to look to the future to see what the future is going to be. So we do have to look at the past. I am involved in a book that you guys, every one of you here, should get, and it's called "They Fought Back," and it's about comic book artists in after the Holocaust, after the war was over. Comic book artists were actually doing more stories about the Holocaust than you found in normal literature. And Craig Yo and Raphael Medoff and myself have collected these stories. And through IDW, we've published this book of all these stories done by Wally Wood, done by, I'm not going to think of him now, Gil Kane, myself, what's his name? I'm bad at thinking of the names, but it's all about the Holocaust and stories about the Holocaust that were done by comic book people about Rommel, about the Nazis, about the Golem, about the prisoner of war camps, and it's not so terrible that you can't enjoy the telling of the stories. The stories are really good. You should get them, you should read them, and you should pass them on to your kids, because we don't want people to forget that it could happen again. In fact, us in the United States have more reason to remember that it could happen again probably than anybody in the world. And I'm sorry to bring up Trump again, but there you go. Yes.
You've done some work advocating for creators' rights
Yes.
in the past. Was that something through your career that just made sense to do, or were there some defining circumstances that made you want to take that up?
No, I don't think so. I think we're all those. I think we're all me. Okay, we're all Batman. We're all me. If you get an opportunity to help a neighbor, you're going to help him, aren't you? Right? I'm not talking to stupid people.
Yeah.
Okay. If somebody needs help, you're gonna, and you're not going to do it to hurt yourself. You're not going to shoot yourself in the foot to do it, but you're going to make an effort to help them, and you'll go out of your way to do it, to the point that you're sweating and you're up late at night, and maybe you're helping them against a flood or a fire or whatever it is, or you're taking them into your house because something bad has happened to them. You will help them because you're a real human being, and you would do that. In my industry, I've been able to do that because one, I've been in a position to do it. Two, I'm very punk when you come right down to it, you know. But I can tell the difference between good and bad. I can tell the difference between black and white. I don't get involved in things that are gray, you know, when somebody's arguing for a contract or anything like that. But Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, really? Was there any question? Artists getting their artwork back. Was there any question? Artists and writers getting royalties. Was there any question about that? Printing on better paper. Was there any question about that? None of that. None of these were gray issues. You just needed somebody who was punk enough to go out and fight for them. But I grew up in Brooklyn, and I'm punk. I know I look like a fireman or a cop, but I'm a punk ass jerk, and I will fight. You know, call me and I'll fight. You walk down the street with me, and no matter what happens, I will protect you. I will probably take a bullet for you, because I am so punk. Just the way I am. Okay? But different people are different ways. Doesn't mean I'm good. It just means I'm punk. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you guys are in your own way punk. You're not gonna back away from helping somebody. You're just not gonna do it. I don't even have to know that. I don't have to poll the room. I can see it on your faces. Anyway. Yes.
The greatest challenges of your career, and what's your advice for people in their careers?
Oh, Jesus, really? Greatest challenges of my career is to raise a family in the midst of making $50 a page. How do you raise a family and make $50 a page? Can't do it. So I did advertising. I could do a storyboard frame that size for $50. I could do 20 of them in a night. I could do 22 of them in a night, which is exactly the number of pages that I would have to do to make the same amount of money. And that would take me a month, but to do the storyboard would take me one evening. So I learned how to make a living to support my insanity to love to do comic books. And I knew I was in it because you have to understand that when I entered the comic book business, it was a very, very bad time. It was a very bad time. There's nobody who could exaggerate it to the extent that you could understand how bad it was. It was bad. There were no contracts. People were paid outrageously bad amounts of money. Joe Kubert could pencil 4 to 6 pages a night or day. Okay? A human couldn't do that, but Joe Kubert could do that. Jack Kirby could do that. Other guys couldn't rub 2 nickels together because they couldn't draw fast enough, so they had to do something else. And they did. Mad Magazine paid more money. Advertising agencies paid more money. Everything else paid more money. People who were stuck in comic books were stuck in a dead-end business that they would tell you every day that they're going to go out of business in a year. I wasn't allowed to show my samples at DC Comics because they were, quote, according to the guy sitting next to me, Bill Perry, kid, we're going to be out of business in a year. You don't understand. Can I show my samples to somebody? Kid, maybe you don't understand English. We're going to be out of business in a year. Not going to be any comic books again. That's how it was. It was bad. It was a bad place to be. They had no, when I say they had no contracts, they wrote a thing on the back of the check that said we take all rights from you. That's not even legal. It's not legal. They paid nothing. And they fought to survive. And those few people that survived became the nexus of survival. When I got into comic books, call it the early 60s, when I got into comic books, not when I first started and I did Archie comic books, but when I circled around and I did all these other things and I got really into comic books, there was nobody within 5 years of my junior or 5 years of my senior who had gotten into comic books. I am the only person my age in a 10-year span from 1953 to 1963 that got into comics right in the middle. Nobody else. There's nobody that I can talk to as a friend that isn't much younger than me or much older than me. Nobody. Didn't exist. It wasn't a business. And then suddenly Jack Kirby got together with Stan Lee. Started to compete with DC Comics, who was still surviving, and suddenly this, pardon me, shit hit the fan. Apologize for that. I just felt it was a good phrase. Things started to happen, and then the business began again. That's how it was. So greatest challenge is living and wanting to draw comic books. That's a pretty big challenge. My kids, just like everybody else, I got 5 kids. Every one of them, none of them have outstanding loans from college. They all have apartments. They're not all paid for, but they all own apartments because I teach them how to invest their money. So raising kids, learning, I grew up pretty much in white trash. And I had to learn business outside of school because in art schools, guess what? They don't teach business. One of the things that is missing out of all art schools that we have across the country is a business course. They teach artists how to run their business, how to pay their taxes, how to invest money. I talk to artists now and say, have you thought of putting money in the stock market? And they say to me, that's like gambling. No, it's not. It's nothing like gambling. Absolutely nothing like gambling. The whole of the United States will move ahead in the stock market by 10% every year. You're always making money. Can you make money at the bank? How much interest do you get at the bank? Nothing. When I was a kid, 5.5%. When I was a kid, nothing now. Can't make money at a bank. You don't pay it. But you can in the stock market, and you need to learn how to do it. That was hard. Those things are hard. Outside of that, not really much of anything. I'm one of the lucky people. I smile all the time. I'm one of the luckiest people in the world. I get to draw pictures and people give me money. The hell's wrong with the world? I just keep on expecting some cop to show up and take me off and have me chop down trees and stuff, and they never do. Take out the garbage. Get on that garbage truck, Neal, and start loading garbage. They never come. They just let me draw. The best thing in the world. And I know lots of jobs that are like that, only they're different jobs. And that's what we need, people to know, kids to know that those jobs are out there. I see a lot of happy people compared to most people. Anyway.
Stick to what you're good at, right?
Find out what you're good at and make it turn into work for you.
This is what I do here. Like, I can draw for the life of me, but
There
ask
you
me to
go.
make a
You do
video,
something.
no problem.
Exactly. Find the thing you love. Yes.
There was this thing I actually sort of thought of a while ago.
You're gonna put this together in a minute?
Yeah,
'Cause we gotta
sorry.
get out of here.
I'd like your opinion. I like to say that superheroes in comic books nowadays, it's actually a great way. It gives a lot of people actual, a hope, or, not to sound cliche on that one, but you look at comics like with Spider-Man, Aunt May could be in the hospital, but he still got stuff.
Heroes. We have heroes in comic books. We don't have enough heroes in comic books, and some of them act like jackasses. And so I'm really not happy with the heroes in comics. I think that we need heroes in real life, and I think that we need to be our heroes. We have to do things that make people appreciate us and the things that we do. And I hope that creatives actually start pumping more heroic things back into the heroes that they have in comic books, because you probably noticed they've been kind of drifting away from the heroic picture and going into the anti-hero. Excuse me, I don't really like that image for my kids. I don't think it's good for kids. I think you need to get back to heroes. There need to be heroes in the world. There are heroes in the world. And they do good things. And they're all over the place. They're firemen, they're policemen, they're neighbors. The world is filled with heroes. We just don't appreciate them because you know what? They don't make a big noise.
Yeah, in my honest opinion, I think one of the most iconic images in modern comics was right after 9/11. Marvel did that one where it showed all the superheroes helping the firemen and the police and all that.
Well, I think and the firemen and the policemen were doing stuff too.
Yeah.
We all did illustrations for that, and that was great. And like comic book people, let me tell you something about comic book people. And I'm not talking about creatives. I'm talking about people. I'm talking about you people. Okay. I sit at my table, which you guys should be coming down when we're done here and buy everything I have. But not the point. I sit at my table. If I sell something to somebody at my table and they forget to pay me, and I'm too stupid to pay any attention because I don't really pay attention to that, and they leave my table and they get a block away in the convention hall, they'll go, I forgot to pay for this. And they will come all the way back. They could have forgotten about me. They come all the way back to pay me for that thing. I have never had it that didn't happen. Every single time they come back and they pay me for it. Because we're filled with an industry of honest people. Now, are comic books responsible for that? Well, I think comic books do remind people of that, especially the good guys in comic books and the bad guys don't do the right thing. But yes, we're in an industry that is used to telling moral fables. And they are, in some ways, responsible for honest people in the comic book business. You know all your friends involved in comics. Aren't they straightforward and honest people? Pretty much, unless they're just jerks every once in a while. You get a jerk. There's always jerks around. But they're honest people. We breed honest people. And guess what? There's 100 comic book conventions in the North American continent a year that have over 20,000 people going to them. Over 20,000 people. There's only 52 weeks in a year. So we have some weekends, we have 3 and 4 conventions in North America at the same time on the same weekend. That's over 20,000 people. That comes to hundreds of thousands of people all the time going to comic book conventions. Comic books I'm going to go next weekend. I'm going to be going to the Philippines to a comic book convention. They're having them in Russia. They're having them in Red China. Remember we used to call it Red China? We call it China now. They have it in Africa. They have them in South America. All over. South America is crazy about comic books. Japan. Okay? The whole world is becoming infected with this concept of there's a difference between good and evil, and we should be on the side of good. But then, of course, we have Trump. I'm sorry. Am I circling around to that again? And I apologize. Yes. A little louder?
Bob Kane.
What about Bob Kane?
How would you classify him?
Twitching asshole. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm a jerk. He's a jerk. He was a jerk. The world revolved around. Not everybody's a great guy. You know, you can meet somebody and you think, well, I'm meeting Bob Kane, the creator of Batman. First time I met Bob Kane, I was, Bob, I really appreciate you. You know, he says, I know you. You're drawing Batman these days. I said, yeah, I'm trying to carry on the tradition, and really do a good job. He says, well, you're not paying much attention to my Batman. You should pay a lot more attention to it because I did it the right way. And you guys, you're not doing it the right way, but you can learn. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, Mr. Kane, I appreciate that. I get it. And no, I'm trying to do the best I can. I mean, if you have any suggestions, well, my suggestion is you should pay attention, read my stuff, read the stuff I do, and I did, and do that. Okay, sure, that's sure, right? That's terrific. I really appreciate the work that you've done. Like Minute Mouse and that cat that was the cat in Minute Mouse, and he did a cartoon show. He created a cartoon show. I said, even that, that was like Batman and Robin. Oh, it was nothing like Batman and Robin. Totally different. Well, it was sort of like a Batman and Robin. It was Minute Mouse and the cat was, kind of like Batman. No, it wasn't. It was nothing like Batman and Robin. You don't understand at all. You have no idea. You don't know what you have to pay attention to these things and watch. Well, I did watch the cartoon show. I really did. Well, okay, if you don't think it was the same. I finished the conversation. I go over to my friends who are standing in the corner. I'm going, and I say, I just met Bob Kane, and they go, yeah, an asshole, wasn't he? I thought it was me. I thought it was like judging this guy, but he was a total jerk, really. Yeah. Gil Kane?
I'm a fan of him. And Black Mark, he did a really nice job.
Thank you. I love Gil Kane.
Yeah,
Brilliant artist. Well, he's one of the few guys that actually continued to learn all through his career. Some guys stop. They just stop and they get paid. You were going to say? You were going to ask?
I was going to ask, since you talked about Bob Kane, what about Bill Finger? Did you ever
I never met Bill Finger, but I do know that Bill Finger never fought for his rights. He never fought. He was never there to speak for himself. And it took his granddaughter to speak up for him. And she's punk. And I'm just saying, she is punk. Ask me about me. That little girl is punk. And she stood up for her grandfather, and she made it happen. It wasn't Bill Finger. And I have to tell you, between you, me, and the fence post, it's very hard to represent or to stand up for somebody who doesn't represent themselves at least a little bit, or at least ask for help and reach out. So Bill Finger never reached out for help, as far as I know, in his whole career, and nobody gave him any help because he never asked. His granddaughter, looking at realities and realizing how much her grandfather had done for the Batman character, spoke up and spoke up loud. So she's the one I'm proud of. I think she's great. Okay, what? Anyway, yes.
Were there any writers whose scripts that you're really excited to draw?
When I was young, I spoke to artists at the Cartoonist Society, and when you have a syndicated strip, and you have a writer and you have an artist, the artist was always jealous of the writer because the writer got paid as much as the artist, but the artist never thought he was worth it because, of course, they worked much harder. I mean, there was one writer that wrote 5 different syndicated strips, 5. Elliot Kaplan, because you could write scripts faster than you can draw them, and he was paid as much as the artist. Okay, so the artists, either for that reason or for other reasons, were always whining about their writers and criticizing their writers and whining about their writers. And so I'm in the Cartoonist Society. I didn't join the Cartoonist Society. I'm at the Cartoonist Society, and I'm listening to these guys, and I'm thinking, boy, these guys are just all, in bad humor about their writers. And I thought, I will never do that, because that's really a bad way to be. Even if it's true, okay, if you have a writer and you're the artist, he's working, you're equally responsible for the job, okay? You really don't have a right to criticize him, and he doesn't have a right to criticize you because you've accepted each other. You're a team. So shut up. And I believe that's true. I believe that's true. I don't believe I have the responsibility or right to criticize my writer, and I don't believe he has a right to criticize me because we're working together. Everybody else in the world can criticize us, but not us, because we have to work together. So my answer to you is I would never say anything bad about any writer I work with. As far as I'm concerned, they're all terrific. Every one of them is terrific. I'm not going to find a bad word in my mouth about any of them. Yes?
Speaking of writers, have you ever worked with Stan Lee?
On 2 issues of Thor. 2 issues of Thor.
How
And
was
he gave
that?
away the damn story 2 pages before he was supposed to. But there you go. There you go. Anyway, I'm going to have to leave soon, so I'm going to tell you one story. One story before we go. Okay. Now, everybody says I do lots of things for creatives, right? We've heard stories. Yes?
Yes.
Got the artwork back, fought for the rights of the creators, and did all this stuff. Now, I don't want you to believe that people don't do things for ulterior motives. Without ulterior motives. I said that wrong, but there you go. So I'm going to tell you my ulterior motive for doing all this stuff that you've heard. I don't want you to think that I'm better than I am. I'm in Chicago. I'm 21 years old. Walking by a building, walking by an alley. They have alleys in Chicago. In New York, they don't have alleys because the buildings are so close to each other. So if somebody says that it was filmed in New York and they have an alley, it's Chicago. It's not New York. So I'm going by this alley, and there's one of those red exit lights kind of flashing and flickering. And I see a guy at the end of the alley, and a big guy with a big overcoat on. He's being lit by that light. He's got a hat on. And I can sort of see his eyes, and it's kind of growly. It goes like this. I come from New York, not afraid. Go down the alley toward the guy. Watches me come down. He says, okay, this is the deal. You fight for everybody in your industry. You take care of Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. You get that original art back. You take care of everybody in that industry for the rest of your life, and you get to keep your hair. I said, deal, sir. That is a deal. You have made a deal. Deal. Shake on that. Guys, I'll see you downstairs. Thank you so much. Thank you.